On January 1st, Mark Ahlers became semi-retired. This morning, Mark is already thinking about becoming fully retired as he presents Understanding Vocal Variety, which is a project from the Presentation Mastery Path. The speech is titled The Tinkerer. Please welcome distinguished Toastmaster Mark Ahlers.
When club member Blake Smith announced that he was retiring from Motorola, I congratulated him and then asked him the first question that popped into my head. I said, what will you do when you retire? Well, Blake got a big mischievous grin on his face and then quit. Whatever I want.
That's right.
Although I was intrigued by Blake's answer, I was personally concerned that if I ever fully retired, I wouldn't know what to do with my time. I feared that I would become incredibly bored and would wind up on a permanent pilgrimage from the refrigerator to the couch and back. But then I saw an article in the Orlando Sentinel that changed my rationale regarding retirement. The article featured a 61-year-old retiree named Robert McKissick Jr., who turned his love of tinkering into a retirement lifestyle that was definitely not boring. He installed flooring in his house, repaired appliances, and even restored a rusty old Civil War muzzleloader. By all accounts, Mr. McKissick was a world-class tinkerer. Unfortunately for him, the Oviedo police described him in a slightly different manner. They called him a moonshiner. Yes, the police did find a still in Mr. McKissick's backyard. And yes, they did find several gallons of homebrew in his attic. But according to Mr. McKissick, it's not whiskey, and I'm no moonshiner. Well, at the time, Mr. McKissick, well, let me back up. McKissick's friend, Mark Davis, who helped assemble the still out of an empty beer keg, had his own perspective on it. That still? That was just a science project, said Davis. Well, at the time, the two men, Mr. McKissick was enjoying his retirement. Davis was unemployed. The two men saw a show on the History Channel about moonshiners. And McKissick decided, shoot, we can make a still. Don't have anything else to do. So the two men fired up the still in Mr. McKissick's backyard. And according to Davis, only brewed one or two batches. That moonshine tasted pretty nasty, said Davis. But it was strong, so strong, I used it to power my model airplane. Well, they abandoned the project after several months. According to Davis, it was tedious, and besides, I found a job. But while the project lasted, they bottled one or two mason jars each time they fired up the still, drank what they made, never sold any. They didn't think they were doing anything illegal. Oh, and those bottles in the attic. According to Davis, it's called brewer's beer, which is a mixture of sugar, water, and yeast that they intended to cook into moonshine. The Oviedo police turned over the so-called brewer's beer to the Division of Alcoholic Beverages and Tobacco, who have not yet finished analyzing it. So, Mr. McKissick has not been formally charged with moonshining. He was, however, arrested on drug and bomb-making charges. Apparently, the police were looking for drugs and not moonshine when they came to his house after poking through his garbage and finding enough evidence to obtain a search warrant. Once inside, they found cocaine residue, drug paraphernalia, and items used to manufacture crack. According to the police report, Mr. McKissick said he produced the crack for recreational use and to trade with various female friends in exchange for personal favors. Yes, the residue and drug paraphernalia was there, admitted McKissick. But he denied that he was the source of it. According to him, his women friends, he has many, may bring drugs into his house, but he does not manufacture crack or use cocaine. As for the bomb-making charges, they arose from two small explosive devices that police found when they executed the search warrant. McKissick and Davis admit they made the devices, but according to Davis, they're not bombs. They're just very, very large firecrackers. Well, at the time, the two men were experimenting with gunpowder, packing it into PVC pipes, putting in fuses, and putting them under coffee cans, setting them off to see how high they would go. We're kids, big, dumb kids, just big kids who won't grow up, said Davis, who wasn't arrested. Wayne Van Elswick, a trucker who lives across the street, calls Robert McKissick an excellent friend, neighbor, and tinkerer. I, on the other hand, call him an inspiration. Thanks to Mr. McKissick and tinkering, I'm confident I can now retire without the fear of boredom. And just as soon as I overcome my fear of prison, that's exactly what I intend to do.